I'd be happy to.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm the ambassador for the Conflict and Democracy Studies Master's Program. As Mahela said, I've already completed this degree, so I'm happy to speak about the admission process, but also about anything else throughout the degree. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Just some core information about the program. So all the courses are taught in English, so it's great for international students. Obviously, if you want to take some language classes, that is available as well. Students can start in the fall or the spring semester, which I think is really great. I took an extra semester to do my bachelor's degree, so it was great to have this flexibility to start whenever I wanted. And then, like the other master's degrees, it's a 2-year, 4-semester degree totaling 120 ECTS, and that includes the thesis. Core courses, which I'll cover again later, they cover relevant theoretical concepts in the study of democracy, democratization, and conflicts, as well as methodology. The elective courses are so broad and there's so many to choose from, but they offer the opportunity to specialize in different fields that might be interesting to you, like information warfare, propaganda, terrorism, populism, or even regional conflicts. I did a lot of elective courses on terrorism and extremism, and I ended up staying for a PhD in that field as well. So it was great to come in with the PhD with already quite some knowledge about that field. So program objectives. The program prepares students for careers in like so many different fields, obviously concerned with conflict and democracy, but that is very large because that touches almost everything in society. I stayed in academia, but you could also go into humanitarian organizations or NGOs or even think tanks. I also have a position at a think tank, so I'd be happy to discuss that as well. And then some people also go on into intragovernmental organizations like the UN or even NATO. So the program really equips students with skills to analyze diverse political actors and events. And it also allows us to think about these situations in a really critical manner and to really think independently and to, just be able to assess what is going on in the world. So this is the program structure that is available on the program website if you start in September. So in the fall semester, which is what I did. These are the mandatory courses. So I quickly go through just some of my favorite ones. In the first semester, I really enjoyed conflict analysis. Obviously, my first 2 semesters were spent online because of COVID, so the situation is a bit different, but I still think conflict analysis is as great in person as it was online. I really enjoyed it because every week, for example, one student was in charge of doing the summary for one of the readings. And then it was put in a Google Doc and all the other students had to participate. And because we were all online and it was our first semester, we didn't know each other, it was a great way to kind of build connections with our classmates. But I also think it was a great way to get the students to do their work. So I think it was really efficient. In the second semester, I really enjoyed democratization and de-democratization. At the end of the semester, we had a final presentation where we each had to choose an event that touched upon democratization or de-democratization. And I thought it was really interesting because everyone was an international student and a lot of them chose events that had happened in their country. We got to really get an interesting point of view and honestly learn about things that maybe I hadn't even heard about before. So that was really great. I did my presentation in that class about the transitional justice process with Indigenous people in Canada. And when I realized maybe how little my classmates knew about it, I actually decided to dedicate my master thesis to that as well. So already in my second semester, I had a pretty good idea of what I was going to do towards the end. And then also in my third semester, I really enjoyed conflict management. We only meet 4 times per semester for this course. And every time we meet, it's for, many hours and we're given a scenario of a current conflict, and we're also given different roles, and we're split up into teams, and basically our job is to negotiate and come to a final solution. It did happen that we didn't come to one, and that's okay as well, but it was a really interactive class and it was so much fun. And I think it's like one of the most unique classes that I've taken. In terms of these selective courses, so you need 28 ECTS. I wrote here that is 4 courses, but that is 4 courses if they are 7 credits each. Obviously that can differ, but 7 is usually the norm. From this list, I took the courses Dilemmas of Counterterrorism, Hybrid Warfare, and then I also completed an internship, which I will discuss in the next slide. But you can also take courses from other departments, so you don't have to focus only on this list. But this is obviously classes that relate the most to conflict and democracy. So this is what I did. This was my study plan. In my first semester, I took 4 classes. Actually, in my first 3 semesters, I took 4 classes. I thought that was a really good amount. I think 5 might be a lot. 4, when they were each 7 or 8 credits each, was really ideal. It gave me enough time to focus on everything. So yeah, this is how I split up my course load. In my final semester, I still had to take 1 more elective, so I decided to do an internship while I was writing my diploma thesis. So I did my internship at the Center for Nonviolent Actions and Strategies based in Serbia, where I did research on different democratization processes across the world. And I wrote my thesis at the same time. So I thought that was really interesting, and it was a great way to transition from academia into the workforce. So there was a question also earlier about the process of writing the master thesis and doing the defense. For the CDS program, you have to select your professor who will be your supervisor at least 1 semester before you start writing, and you also have to get their approval for your topic. It doesn't have to be super developed, obviously, just a general idea of the topic and research questions, maybe the methodology you plan on using. So that has to be settled 1 semester in advance, and then the thesis is anywhere from 70 to 110 pages. So very doable in a semester, but some people also take an extra semester, and that's okay as well. I've also included the citation style, which is the Chicago author date citation style, just in case you wanted to know that, but that's also available on our program website. And then once your thesis is written, you also have to defend your thesis in front of a committee. Usually it's 5 or 6 different professors, as well as pass the oral state exam, where they ask you questions about what you learned in the 2 years of your degree. Yeah, so that was my last slide. Here I've put some contact information. The Conflict and Democracy Studies Master's Program has its own website, so you can check that out, the link on the right. And I've also included my contact information should you have any questions about the CDS program or even about PhDs. I'm happy to talk about that as well, or even just living in Brno.